Income tax has been around for about 100 years, so could 2014 be the year Americans put something else in motion? Say, for example, a flat consumption-based tax. Well, let's ask our guests now. Joining me is economist Dan Mitchell, who is a senior fellow at the Cato Institute and also a contributor to Forbes. Dan is an expert on tax reform and supply-side tax policy. Dan, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Buck.
Let's start with it. What do you think? What are the chances that we're actually now, if there's ever a period during the year when you think you get people to pay attention, one would assume that it's after many of us have had to write substantial checks out to the federal government. What about changing the game up here and actually getting a flat consumption-based tax? Give me the benefits of this and then tell me how likely this is.
Well, since I just finished my taxes at 2:30 this morning, I'm definitely focused on the fact that the current system is a nightmare, and that's even with the help of computer software that makes it a lot easier than it was maybe 10 or 15 years ago. Here's the good news. We have good replacement systems. We have the flat tax. We have national sales taxes. We have countries around the world that are role models of how to tax in a less destructive, less intrusive way. So there is a path to the promised land of a better tax system. But here's the bad news. There is zero chance. I'm talking a smaller chance than me playing center field for the Yankees next year of us getting tax reform given the current political alignment in Washington. The politicians benefit from this system because it enables them to pick winners and losers, raise campaign cash, pit one group against the other, play class warfare. You name it, they're the big winners.
Well, what could be done then within this 74,000-page monstrosity? What would be something that has at least a prayer of passage that goes towards the principles of a flatter, fairer tax? What would you say would be something that you could push forward as a policy that maybe wouldn't be a shoo-in? It's not necessarily going to get through, but at least would be taken seriously, might get some votes, and might get people to think about, hey, I had to write a big check. Why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. I spent hours on my taxes. What would that be? Is it some kind of a national sales tax, as you said? That sounds a little European, a little bit like a value-added tax, which, as much as we love Europe with their fancy cobblestone streets and their coffee drinks, I'm not sure that's the way to go. Sorry, Charles.
Here's the problem with something like a national sales tax. Some Republicans and conservatives like the idea, but only as a replacement for the income tax. In other words, take the 16th Amendment, repeal it, make sure that even Justice John Roberts couldn't declare an income tax constitutional, and then put in some sort of national sales tax. But on the other hand, the folks on the left, they like the idea of a national sales tax or value-added tax, but they want that in addition to the income tax. And that, my friend, is the express train to becoming a European welfare state. It's the mistake that countries like Greece and Italy made 30 years ago. We don't want to go down that path unless we want bigger government and a failed economy.
Just give folks at home a primer. Flat tax, fair tax, what is the difference?
Well, assuming you're replacing the current monstrosity, the flat tax and the national sales tax or fair tax are basically different sides of the same coin. The flat tax taxes your income only one time at one low rate when you earn it, and a national sales tax taxes your income only one time at one low rate when you spend it. Both have a low rate, both get rid of double taxation, both get rid of all the corrupt loopholes. You'd get rid of 90% plus of the compliance costs. You'd clean out the stables of corruption here in Washington that the tax code has created. But I'm, of course, giving you the exact argument for why it won't happen. Politicians don't have any incentive to make the tax system simple and fair because what's in it for them?
And what would we do with all those accountants, Dan? Things we have to think about. But thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us. It's good to see you. Happy tax day,
Thank
I
you,
guess.
Buck.
Yeah.
Sort of.